Yeah, it's telling cousin. You already know what time it is. Dun-dun-dun-dun. Animated horror stories. Dun-dun-dun-dun. Animated horror stories. Dun, dun, dun. Boom, boom, boom. Ding, 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 ding. Psh, psh, psh. Hey. What are we doing today? Three true babysitting horror stories animated. You know I love these because I know these kids be bad as hell. So I know y'all do really be going through it, and that's all right to each of us. Okay? Okay. Where we at today, y'all? We are at SSG Animation's house, good old cousin OG official OG, you know? My code is going away, but it is still there. So if you see me go over there, I am still blowing my nose. Love y'all. It's okay. Oh, what else? As always, feel free to go over to their channel, subscribe, watch their stuff with them, and then come back and watch it over here. I'm not forcing y'all to be nowhere y'all don't want to be. All right? All right. And then, yeah, let's get up in here. Three true babysitting horror stories. If something pops up throughout, I will tag it at the end, meaning another video. If we're watching this video and it's kind of like another video that we see, I'll go over there and tag them too. Um, I don't think I showed y'all a close up of the nails. Nobody be asking. Nobody be asking. I promise. That's just me. No, knuckle look dry. Knuckles looking dry. Next time I'll put some oil before I show y'all. And then, yeah, please grab a blunt, grab a bottle of water, grab a bag of chips, and grab a blanket, please, so you can stay snug. Let's get up in here. I know someone's like, girl, ain't nobody ask you for your nail plug at all. But I always gotta plug it.
Hey, my
Man.
name is Trish.
Okay.
I'm one of those babysitters that, although I'm good with kids, have a hard time interacting with other adults and making myself known as a babysitter. Luckily, I recently found out that Craigslist also offers services. It's not just a portal to buy and sell things.
Mm-hmm.
Using Craigslist, I got several babysitting jobs, and for the first time in my 18 years of life, I started earning money. But this little job didn't last long, as something forced me to interrupt it.
Mm.
At first, it seemed like a normal job with just a little quirk. A single father had hired me to babysit his son. Normally, parents wait for me to arrive before they leave so they can meet me or at least see my face. But not this one. When I arrived at the house, there was no one there. Just a little boy who came to greet me with a big hug and lots of kisses on my face. It seemed too euphoric, but at the same time, a little tender.
Ew.
As the afternoon progressed,
That better
everything
not be a
became
man with
stranger.
with
Although he
Benjamin
was a
Button.
big boy about 10 years old, he needed my help with almost everything. He would
He got
ask
that
me
Benjamin
to help him
Button.
to eat, to stroke his head, to take off his clothes because the room was too warm. I was surprised that a child of that age required so much attention. Possibly that's how the father had raised him. After eating, it was time to go to sleep, but the father had written that he could eat ice cream. The child not only ate it in a disgusting and repulsive way, putting it in his mouth with his hands and dirtying everything, but to make matters worse, he would put his hands with ice cream in my mouth for me to taste.
Oh,
If I refused,
boy.
he would cry and make a lot of noise until I finally gave in.
Oh, hell no. He got
After
that
that,
Benjamin Button,
I began to
girl.
smell a very strange but familiar smell. That's when I realized that the boy hadn't made it to the bathroom. So not only did he make me clean his clothes, but I had to clean him as well.
You
After
lying.
that, the time finally came. He was finally going to take a bath and then go to sleep. I took off all his clothes, although for some reason he was too shy to take off his underwear, but I accepted it. In the worst case scenario, I could wash him later. During a shower, the boy asked me to soap him, to wash him, and he even threw water on my top. It was all very uncomfortable. I had never dealt with anyone like this before. It only made me wonder who was the strange man who had raised him.
Because
The only thing I
him.
knew was that I didn't want to be there when he arrived. I grabbed all of the boy's clothes and went to his room to get a towel, until a smell I didn't recognize this time made me go look under the bed.
Oh,
When I did, I couldn't help but scream in terror. Under the bed was a corpse. It was still fresh. What could have caused this?
what?
Suddenly, a phone started ringing from the dining room, and I ran over. Maybe it was the boy's father. I had to tell him to call the police. The killer might still be nearby. I had to take the boy away as soon as possible. I ran downstairs, but the noise of the phone came from a cell phone that was under an armchair. When I bent down to grab it, I not only had the phone in my hands, but something else. It was an ID card of a man
30.
over 30 years old.
What did I
I
say?
knew that face. It was the face of the child I was taking care of.
Yeah.
That wasn't a child.
That's what I
That was a
said.
grown man.
Grown ass
Suddenly,
man.
I heard a scream
Y'all
at the
got
top
me
of the stairs.
spitting.
It was him, looking at me, while
That ain't
laughing
even
with
the
a
same
face full of
man.
perversion and cruelty. He knew I had found out the truth.
Hey, Trish. I've had my bath. Will you tell me a bedtime story?
Boy, stop
In
playing.
shock,
Stop
I ran
playing.
for the exit while he was still laughing. He never tried to chase me. He never
Really?
tried to kill me. He just enjoyed seeing me terrified, crying, and trying to get
'Cause
away.
That's crazy.
I
He's
called
been
the
putting
police
his little
immediately.
nasty ass hands in your mouth
Although
and
they
everything.
found no one, they discovered that the body belonged to a man who lived alone in the house and had no children. I never heard from that terrifying psychopath again.
Oh,
From that day on, I was able to overcome my fears and start working with people in my neighborhood.
yeah.
People
That was
I knew.
that would
Every
make me start
time
working
I
too.
think about how that man took advantage of me and made me do all those things I did, I cry. I just cry myself to sleep and forget about it.
It's okay, girl. Ain't nothing you could have did, 'cause that was crazy.
Being a new mom is tough as it is, but working in the software industry and taking care of a baby is on the next level altogether. I am Anna Joseph Murray, and
Nice
I
to meet
work
you.
as a software engineer in a software company in the Silicon Valley.
Okay.
My husband Hugo is an aerospace engineer, and both of us are pretty much busy throughout the day to take care of our baby boy Austin. Most of the time our schedules clash and there is no one to take care of my 6-month-old, so we decided to hire a babysitter. The first woman we hired, Martha, was a 60-year-old woman who had grandkids of her own. She was perfect. She knew how to take care of Austin better than us and did not mind looking after him for extra hours when I and my husband were stuck working late. However, in midsummer she had a stroke, and she was strictly ordered to take a bed rest. I and Hugo were so worried, but soon I found a new nanny. She was much younger than Martha, but had significant experience taking care of infants and toddlers. When I interviewed her, she seemed perfect, and she was ready to take the job immediately. Now, you must know that whenever we hire a nanny, we expect her to spend most of her day taking care of Austin at our place.
Okay. Yeah.
When I
That's what
hired
nanny is
Nancy,
for.
the new nanny, Hugo was on a business trip to Russia, so he had never met her, only heard about her from me. He knew her name was Nancy and that she was our new nanny. Most of the time, my husband is very uninterested in the household affairs. That includes who we hire as a
Okay.
nanny. However, now when I look back at it, I really wish he would have paid a tad bit more attention. So
Don't do
when
that,
he returned from
'cause
his
you knew he
work trip,
wasn't paying
he
attention to that.
immediately went back to work and he spent most of his nights in his office. He rarely got to interact with Nancy, let alone Austin.
No.
However, one morning when Hugo was home fast asleep, I got a call around 7
Hello,
a.m.
Anna?
Yeah, Max, it's me. Why are you calling so early? I asked my colleague, Max.
Hey, Anna, you know the software our team has been working on for the past couple of months? The one we're developing for the Swedish company?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what about it?
Well, I just got an email from their executive that some of their officials are visiting us today. You need to get here as soon as possible. We need to keep things ready. We need to show a small demo to these guys, and we need you here.
Okay.
Sure, I'll get there, I told Max and hung up the phone. Luckily, Austin was sleeping and not crying for once. I woke up Hugo as he would be home when Nancy came to look after Austin. Hugo, please wake up. Hugo! I shook
Boy,
my
he ain't
sleepy
sleep
husband.
that damn.
Yeah? What is it?
He said in
He
a
ain't sleep that
sleepy
damn
voice.
hard.
I have to go to my office. It's urgent. I might be late. You'll be here when Nancy gets here, so please hand Austin over to her. Also, let her know that I have kept the milk in the fridge.
Yeah, whatever.
Hugo said from the bed. I was sure my husband had not heard most of what I had said, but
And yet you were
Nancy was
okay.
smart enough to know where everything was, so
Is
I
she
was
though?
cool. I took a quick shower, got dressed, and left for work, hoping
Okay.
that Hugo would stay with Austin until Nancy arrived. As soon as I reached my workplace, I was
What do you
swamped
mean
with work.
hoping? He ain't got no choice.
First with the demo and then meeting the officials. By the time it was 7 in the evening, I called home hoping to get a hold of Nancy and ask her how Austin was doing. But when I dialed the number to our home, no one picked up the phone. I tried a few more times, but to no avail. So, I called Nancy. Hey, Mrs. Murray, how are you? Hey, Nancy, how is Austin? And why are you not picking up the home phone? Mrs. Murray, I think you forgot that I was taking a sick leave today. I sent a substitute nanny to your place. I texted you last night. Didn't you see my text?
A substitute
Wait, what?
nanny. Fuck
When
do
did you
mean
text
you
me?
said
I
a
totally missed it.
substitute nanny?
Wait, does that mean you're not with Austin right now? Mrs. Murphy, I'm in bed drinking chicken noodle soup and wiping my nose every 2 seconds. I'm not well enough to look after your little guy today. Then who is with Austin right now? Did Hugo
Girl.
stay home with him? All these questions clouded my mind. Even though I was at work, all I could think about was my son. So I
Yeah.
called my husband.
Hey, babe, what's up?
Hi, Hugo. Are you with Austin right now? I was full of dread and hoped he said yes.
What do you mean? I'm at work.
What
Austin
do
is
you
with that
mean? What do I
Nancy.
mean?
She came soon after you left. I handed over Austin to her and then went back to work. Why? What happened?
Get home soon. That was all I could get out before I grabbed my stuff and ran towards my car to drive home. The one question in my mind throughout the drive was, if Nancy had called in sick, then who did Hugo leave Austin with? Who
Like,
was that new nanny? By the time I reached home, my husband had called me multiple times, but at that moment, I had to see my child. I had no time to explain the situation to my husband. The moment I opened the door, I knew something was awfully wrong, as all the things in the house were destroyed.
no
Everything
fucking
was
way.
all over the place, broken or fallen. I ran into the house looking for Austin, but I couldn't find him anywhere. So I called 911 and my husband and told them everything that had happened and the fact that my newborn was missing. The cops arrived, and so did Hugo. I was a mess and scared shitless worrying about my son. The cops concluded that it was a well-planned robbery, since many antique pieces from our home were missing, and a bunch of stuff from my and Hugo's wardrobe was stolen too. However, I did not care about that at all.
Like, what are you talking about?
I was not worried
Where's
about
the
the
kid?
substitute nanny being a thief. I just wanted my son back safe in my arms. The cops soon were able to look at the CCTV footage from an outdoor camera of a grocery store. And in that footage, we could clearly see the woman, who was the alleged substitute nanny, or should I say thief, leave with a stroller with Austin in it and 2 duffel bags.
Who is that?
And when she entered the grocery store, she left the stroller and my kid outside and then exited the shop
You're
from another
lying.
exit. My heart stopped as I looked at the footage.
Y'all like your blind?
Just as I was about to get up and run to the grocery store, I heard a high-pitched cry, and immediately I knew it was Austin. An officer was
Bitch,
pushing
you
the same
stole
stroller
my
I had
shit
seen mere
and
moments
then leave
ago.
my bitch. What? You stole my shit out my house, and you left my baby in the carriage. For all this shit, bitch, you could have left the baby at the house. You know what I mean? You want to rob the house, bitch? Rob the house. Leave the baby in the bed. You know? You bring my baby to a goddamn grocery store and leave the baby in the grocery store? I'm sorry. Nancy would have got her ass beat. Cause how are you gonna send a substitute nanny to my house and not talk to the parent? Like, my husband would have got divorced. Cause how you say you give the baby to Nancy and you know that bitch want Nancy. Nancy got all black hair, this bitch hair red and black. Like, what do you really talk about for real? You know what I mean? Like, y'all playing with me. Y'all really playing with me, and that's crazy. Like, as a mom, she should have been tearing all this shit up. Husband, tore the fuck up. Nancy, tore the fuck up. She would have been mad because I would have been at her house, and she's sick, and she would have got hands, feet, neck, back, everything. I would have beat her ass because why are you playing? Why are you playing so damn much? You know what I mean? Let's get up.
I heard a high-pitched cry, and immediately I knew it was Austin. An officer was pushing the same stroller I had seen mere moments ago
really left the
on
baby
the screen.
in the store?
I picked up Austin and just cried.
Look at him.
He was hungry, wet, and his face was red from crying for so long.
Just crying.
I immediately took care of him.
Yeah, Nancy would have had
The
to get her
officers
ass
had
beat.
contacted
Someone
Nancy from the information they had gathered and pieced together. Nancy's substitute nanny was her young neighbor, who knew that she worked for a wealthy family who were mostly working all the time.
No.
And when Nancy got ill, her neighbor offered to be the substitute. However, that new woman had no plan of taking care of my child. She wanted to steal our things and make money off of us. The cops never got a hold of that woman or any of our stolen stuff.
How? And you said that
but
the
I'm
bitch
just
lived right
happy that
downstairs.
she did not hurt my child, and that my son Austin was safe with us. So, next time you guys are looking for a babysitter, make sure the person is reliable. I learned it the hard way so that you didn't have to.
What? Fuck out of here. You ain't learned nothing because ain't nobody get their ass.
When I was in the 7th grade, a new girl named Vinny was admitted to my school. At first, I wasn't interested in being her friend because I had a bunch of friends already. But one day I was paired with her for a group project. That was when I realized that we had a lot in common. Soon, Vivi and I became best friends.
Okay.
We played together, read together, and hung out at each other's houses. One time when she and I were alone at my house, I finally asked her a question that I was very curious about.
Hey, a couple of times ago you told me that you used to live in a Gulf country, but you didn't mention why you left and why you came back. Well, we moved when I was in the 1st grade because my father got a really great job opportunity.
Okay.
In order to take the job, we needed to move to the Middle East. Both my parents worked back then, so my grandparents would watch me. But that all changed. My mom quit her job, we said goodbye to my grandparents, and we moved to the Middle East. Wow, how was that? It was tough. The country we moved to was very conservative. Eventually, we adapted to the culture, and I started going back to school. My mom even got a job in my dad's office. Then one day, my mom became pregnant. My dad and I were super excited. But my mom was worried because she liked her job and didn't want to stop working, which meant we needed to find someone to take care of my new baby brother when he arrived.
Mm-hmm.
So did you guys decide to come back because of your new baby brother? No, that happened a while ago. About 2 years, I think, when I was in the 5th grade. Like I said, my mom loved her job and didn't want to leave it, so someone had to be there for my baby brother. My grandparents were not an option because my parents couldn't fly them in, so my parents decided to hire a babysitter. There were a lot of babysitters available, but they were all men, and my mom wasn't comfortable having a male babysitter. Finally, we were blessed with my new baby brother. Thankfully, Mom had a 3-month maternity leave. Like a blink of an eye, the 3 months passed, and we still had no one to care for my 3-month-old baby brother. Finally, instead of looking for a babysitter to come in our home, my mom decided to put my brother in a daycare program. The daycare was busy and had a lot of childcare providers. They took care of kids of all ages, like infants, toddlers, and even preteens. The daycare was pretty expensive, but my parents thought it was well worth paying the hefty check to care for my brother. The first day my little brother Rob went to daycare was tough for him and for my working mother. My mom constantly worried about Rob and called the daycare to make sure he was doing okay. By the end of the day, when she brought Rob back home, he was sleeping deeply in her arms. The providers in the daycare said he didn't cry much, he ate and slept well, and that made me and my parents really happy. But as the days passed, every evening my mom would bring my brother home and he would be asleep. It's common for babies to sleep a lot, but Rob was asleep most of the time when he was with us, from the early morning and late in the evening. We hardly ever saw him awake. Finally, after more time passed, my mother realized that my brother wasn't like other 6-month-olds, and the experience she had with me was very different. As an infant, I was cranky and chaotic, but my brother was a sleeper. He was quiet most of the time and also seemed to be lost in his own world. His eyes were glassed over, and he wasn't very responsive. At first, my parents thought they got lucky and had a super easy second child who was less demanding than their first, but they soon realized something was very, very wrong. At 7 months, my parents took my brother for his well-child checkup. Although everything appeared fine on the outside, his blood work was all messed up. When the doctor got the results, they immediately contacted my parents. The doctor told them that my brother's brain wasn't fully developed and wasn't functioning as a normal 7-month-old. He was unresponsive, glassy-eyed, and was dazed. When the doctor told us what caused his symptoms, it was a hard blow to take. The doctor said that my little brother had been drugged in very small doses almost every day, and that the damage could be repaired with medication and therapy treatments. But the big question was how it even happened in the first place. Wait, wow, what? What do you mean drugged? Well, at first we thought it was a reaction to baby products or baby food that we were using, but we soon realized that that was not the cause. The matter was way deeper than that. My parents started the therapy treatments immediately, and my mother decided to quit her job and look after my brother. His situation changed, and he soon became a normal baby who cried, wailed, and acted as chaotic as most healthy kids did, just like me when I was little. Still, my parents couldn't figure out what caused the issue in the first place. We were just really happy that my brother had recovered. Then, after my brother's first birthday, there was a job opening at my dad's company. My mom decided to apply for the position and she was hired back. So we decided to take my brother back to the daycare. But before we did, my brother had another follow-up doctor appointment. At the appointment, the doctors asked if my parents were taking my brother to a particular daycare center. When my parents said yes, he asked them to take a seat. Then he told them the most horrible story I have ever heard. He said that after my baby brother's case, a bunch of other infants and toddlers came to the hospital, and all of them had the same condition as my little bro. It turned out that a parent of a child who suffered severe, irreversible brain damage from the drugs decided to investigate the matter. It just so happened that he was a cop. He uncovered all the gruesome reality of the daycare. In order to make their work easier for them, the childcare providers would drug the infants, toddlers, and kids to make them sit quietly or sleep. The doctor said that Rob was lucky because he was diagnosed early and no permanent damage had been done. But some kids had faced serious repercussions due to the malpractices of that childcare. The daycare's out of business now. It was shut down by the cops after they arrested all of the staff members. But
And them hoes arrested.
unfortunately, nothing could be done for the other little kids. For them, it was too late. My mom didn't end up taking the position. Instead, she took care of my brother till he turned 2. Then we moved here. That must be so hard to deal with.
Kids just
I
say
finally
shit like
managed
it's
to
nothing.
say,
Yeah, but now Rob is as healthy as ever, and he has no signs of that condition, so we're happy.
unfortunately, this is the reality of many daycares and babysitters. So if you're thinking about hiring one, make sure to run a background check.
What? Run a background check, meet that person like a million times, like a couple times, have a few days where you ain't even gotta go nowhere. You just watching that whole, you know what I mean? Like, cause there's a million different cases where babysitters come, they abuse people's kids, drug people's kids, kidnap people's kids. Like, I just hired you to watch my motherfucking kid, and you can't even do that. You over here trying to do XYZ and 000. Like, So what? I enjoyed this video. This video was good. I find stuff with kids to be very scary because what? Especially for infants, that baby can't even talk. That baby can't talk and come home and be like, Mom, I'm getting drugs. That's an infant. So this was a good video to me, y'all. Let me know how you feel. Which one was your favorites? Comment down below. I feel like these are all bangers to me, all hitters. So yeah, let me know how you feel in the comments. And until next time, you guys, I love y'all. Bye.